Who will Islam fight next at 170? You know what? I think Islam is destined for, he should fight Ilia Topuria at the White House. If he beats Ilia Topuria, he retires.
Islam was just ready. He's just too much for him. But it's only because we were ready for a super tough guy that...
What happens when a fighter reaches the absolute peak of their career? Do they keep climbing, or do they step away before the fall? Islam Makhachev just answered that question in the most dominant way possible at UFC 322. And now the entire MMA world is split down the middle. Right from the first bell, Michael Bisping noticed something that set the tone for the entire night. Islam didn't just control the fight, he completely owned every second of it. Bisping watched as Jack's confidence slowly drained away. Round after round, you could see it in his eyes, hear it in his corner's desperate instructions. The momentum kept shifting further and further into Islam's hands, and Jack's energy level started dropping fast. His rhythm gone, his game plan falling apart.
As I said, it was domination. It was an annihilation. It was one-way traffic from start to finish, okay? We knew Islam was going to go out there and try to out-wrestle him. That's what he did. He was very successful. He took him down every single round, and the longer the fight went, the easier the takedowns became. Now, Jack, according to his coach, was stuck in the mud. He wasn't moving the feet quite as much. And at the end of every round, his coach, and I'm sure they have a great relationship, so they understand each other, should I say. But the coach was just giving him a hard time. He was like, what are you doing, mate? Don't sit there in half guard. Don't do this. Don't do that. Come on, you got to fight him. You're stuck in the mud. He was just giving him crap every single time. And Jack, as the fight was going on, was just looking more and more deflated, dejected, defeated.
But here's where it gets interesting. Bisping pointed out something that most casual fans might have missed. Jack wasn't just taking damage, he was mentally breaking down. The frustration was written all over his face. Islam's control wasn't just physical, it was psychological. Bisping made it clear that Islam's winning streak has now put him in the conversation with the all-time greats, even though some past champions face tougher roads to get there. Still, you can't deny what Islam has accomplished. His elite level skills were on full display, and Jack had zero answers.
DC and Rogan were saying that he was grimacing. He was grimacing in pain. I'm sure that some of the elbows and the punches and the calf kicks were all hurting. But I think for the most part, it was just the fact that he couldn't do anything. He was getting taken down. He was getting controlled. He did do a good job of not giving up, okay? Because, listen, Islam is a tremendous fighter, okay? He's got a record now of 28-1. He now ties Anderson Silva for a 16-fight win streak. I still think Anderson's was more impressive because 12 of those 16 fights were title fights, and that is more impressive.
Now let's talk about just how special Islam's run really is. Bisping didn't hold back when breaking this down. Islam hasn't just dominated one division, he's conquered two. His winning streak isn't a fluke, it's built on pure consistency and elite level execution. Throughout the entire fight, Islam capitalized on every single mistake Jack made. When Jack tried to wrestle back, it backfired badly. Every exchange made the skill gap more obvious. Islam was always one step ahead, controlling the pace, controlling the positions, controlling the entire fight. Jack never stood a chance.
Islam Makhachev, what he's achieved is unbelievable. He's a two-weight division champion. Anderson Silva didn't do that, and he has won 16 in a row, okay? So take a bow. Unbelievable. And it was domination from start to finish. He caught the single leg, and then he sweeps the other leg in round one. In round two, he pushes Jack up against the fence. Jack got a little bit too confident. He tried to go for a whizzer kick or a hip throw. Tried to go for a hip throw on Islam Makhachev. What are you doing? You don't do that. He shouldn't be trying to grapple with Islam at all.
Then Demetrius Johnson jumped into the conversation, and what he said really highlighted just how dominant Islam was. Every time Jack tried to get up or create any kind of space, Islam shut it down instantly. Johnson explained how Islam disrupted Jack's base over and over again, keeping him pinned underneath with nowhere to go. What stood out to Johnson was how flat and lifeless Jack looked. That's not normal for a fighter of his caliber. It just showed how suffocating Islam's top control really is, especially against elite strikers who usually find ways to scramble.
Islam Makhachev did a good job of stifling, putting JDM in the mud. Each time JDM tried to get to a post to get back to the feet to wrestle, Islam Makhachev would attack that post, keeping JDM on his back. And then JDM didn't have any answer then. I will reach out to Craig Jones to see if there is something wrong with JDM. he just didn't have an answer. That was a flat-footed JDM. He wasn't able to get anything going, anything at all. And it just shows you a test of how good Islam is. I didn't think Islam was going to be able to, I didn't think Islam is small for 170.
But here's where the conversation takes a massive turn. Johnson brought up something that everyone's thinking about. What's next? He talked about Islam's size at welterweight, saying he's definitely not small for the division. He's got real power, real strength, and he proved it. Then Johnson dropped a bomb. He thinks Islam should fight Ilia Topuria next and then retire. Why? Because retiring at the top is almost impossible in MMA. Most fighters hang around too long and we watch their legacies crumble. Islam has a chance to do something rare, walk away while he's still unbeatable.
I didn't think Islam was going to be able to, I didn't think Islam is small for 170. I've seen him in person. I've trained with him. He's a big dude. And who would Islam fight next at 170? You know what? I think Islam is destined for, he should fight Ilia Topuria at the White House. If he beats Ilia Topuria, he retires. Islam has plenty of money, right? Go out on your shield like Khabib did. A lot of people in MMA don't want to see that, but in mixed martial arts, us athletes, we stay too long at the party. There's no reason for an athlete to continue to come into the head and all that stuff.
Let's rewind a bit and hear from the man who knows Islam best, his coach, Javier Mendez. Mendez gave us a behind-the-scenes look at Islam's final training sessions, and what he saw convinced him that this performance was coming. Islam pushed through a full 5-round simulation in the gym, and according to Mendez, he looked razor sharp. His intensity never dropped, even deep into the 5th round. That kind of preparation doesn't lie. Mendez knew Islam was ready to dominate.
I triggered on 5 rounds because in sparring, he gave me an incredible 5 hard rounds the last time. The last sparring session he had, I'm sorry. And before that, he gave me some good ones. And I said, hey, your last sparring session, I'm going to see the best 5 rounds you've ever given me. And he gave me 4 fantastic rounds last Thursday, you know, and then I said, now give me the 5th one. I want to see it better. And he performed better than the first round on the 5th round.
Mendez also revealed what their main focus was going into the fight, the mental game. Once the fight started, he immediately noticed Islam's speed advantage. They used a matador-style approach, controlling distance, staying technical, avoiding unnecessary exchanges. Islam only took damage when he briefly broke away from the game plan, but even then, it was minimal. Everything else went exactly according to plan. That's the sign of a fighter who's not just talented, but smart and disciplined.
The key point for me was the mental edge, and I wanted to give him that, and the rest we were going to see what Jack was going to give us. When we got into the fight, we seen when Jack threw the first punch, I said, oh, he can't deal with our speed. He's slower than us. So I've taught Islam the matador fighting routine already from a long time ago with David Ramos. So I say to him, I go, matador, stay on the matador side. Inside, we take him down, but we don't get inside. And at one point, he did get in the clinch, and he got hit with some shots. So it's the only time he really got hit, you know, with some decent shots. But we told him we didn't want to be in the clinch, you know, and if he was going to clinch, we got to knee quick. But then he's still too used to holding the clinch first, and that's when he was able to get off the shot. So we implored him not to clinch.
Mendez didn't disrespect Jack either. He acknowledged that Jack's best chance was in close range exchanges where his power could do real damage, but Islam's preparation was too good. The one-sided result wasn't luck. It was strategy, training, and execution at the highest level. Mendez made sure to give Jack credit for his toughness though. Underestimating him could have led to disaster, but Islam stayed locked in from start to finish.
I knew right away. I knew the only chance he had was an inside fight where he has good power, he has good skills, he could get a good knee, a good kick. I knew that was the best chance for him. And Islam was just ready. He's just too much for him. But it's only because we were ready for a super tough guy that, you know, a lot of people, you better not underestimate Jack. He is a really tough customer. Just because this fight went our way, the way, you know, we wanted it to go, it didn't mean it could have gone the other way if we didn't prepare properly for him.
Ariel Helwani had his say too, and he didn't sugarcoat anything. He called the fight completely one-sided from start to finish. Islam's move up to welterweight seamless. Every round played out the same way. Islam got the takedown, Jack had no answer, and the clock just kept ticking. Helwani emphasized how strong Islam looked, how calm he stayed, and how effortless he made it all seem. It was the kind of performance that makes other fighters second guess their own abilities.
This time, it's Islam Makhachev holding up the brand new welterweight title that he just won and the lightweight title that he vacated earlier this summer. He is the new UFC welterweight champion. He just thoroughly dominated Jack Della Maddalena. It was never really close. It was somewhat reminiscent. If you didn't watch the fight and you want to know just how dominant it was somewhat reminiscent of the Khamzat Chimaev Dricus du Plessis fight, which we saw back in August. The fight, each round starts standing. Shortly thereafter, there's a takedown, and Jack Della was just never able to get up. He was never able to do much on the ground. Towards the end of the fight, he looked defeated. He looked distraught. He looked deflated. His calf was messed up. Not to suggest that Islam didn't hit him with some shots standing, but it just was one-way traffic throughout. He is just so strong. He is so good. He is so dominant. He is so talented. And now he becomes just the 11th fighter in UFC history to win a belt in 2 different weight classes.
Helwani went even further when talking about Islam's place in history. He pointed out that Islam is now part of an extremely rare club, dual division champions, add in his 16-fight unbeaten streak, and you're looking at something special. Helwani made a bold statement. Islam's resume is now bigger than even his mentor's legacy. That's huge. He's not just the top pound-for-pound fighter right now, he's one of the best we've ever seen in this sport. Generational talent doesn't even cover it.
He is also the man who has just won his 16th fight in a row, and in doing so, ties the great Anderson Silva for the longest winning streak in UFC history. So all kinds of history made tonight at Madison Square Garden. He is the pound-for-pound best in the world. There is no denying that, and is slowly but surely going down as one of the greatest ever, and in my opinion has put his mentor Khabib Nurmagomedov with this victory very much in the rearview mirror. He has surpassed him. If he had not done so already, Islam Makhachev.
MMA Guru joined the discussion and brought receipts. He praised Islam's 5-round display, calling it a masterclass in takedowns and top control. Islam's pressure never stopped. The striking numbers backed up what everyone saw: consistent accuracy, total control, and dominance for all 25 minutes. This wasn't a close fight. This was a statement. Islam is now a dual division champion, and he earned it in the most convincing way possible.
What's there not to love, man? Just really riveting stuff. Islam Makhachev wins, dude. Double champ. Not simultaneously. They don't allow that anymore for some reason. But Islam Makhachev defeats Jack Della Maddalena at welterweight. 5 rounds, dominates him, gets the takedowns, stays on top. I think these were the strike stats. 5 rounds against JDM, 26 significant strikes landed over 25 minutes.
Digging deeper into the technical side, MMA Guru pointed out that Islam had nearly 20 minutes of control time. His takedown success rate, perfect. There was one brief moment where Jack defended successfully, but it barely disrupted Islam's rhythm. MMA Guru didn't hesitate to call Islam the best fighter in the world right now. He's not just holding one belt, he's reigning at 170 pounds, and he made it look easy.
19 minutes of control time. 4 for 4 on takedowns, dude. His takedowns were good. At one moment in round 2, JDM stuffed a takedown, I believe, or stuffed a clinch attempt, I guess they'll call it, because it failed, and then used the overhook to throw Makhachev and then chucked himself on bottom. And that was a fun moment. So this is where we're at, man. This is great. This is great. Makhachev's 170 champ. The GOAT of the sport, you can't deny it. Like, he's definitely in the conversation right now.
But here's the bigger picture that MMA Guru emphasized. Islam is firmly in the GOAT conversation now. The consistency of his takedowns, the control he maintains, the way he dominated Jack from start to finish. It was compelling to watch. Fans around the world were glued to their screens. Islam didn't just win a fight, he captivated an entire sport. That's what legends do. That's what separates good fighters from all-time greats.
With this being able to call Makhachev a GOAT, maybe, and Benoit Saint-Denis win, maybe Lucas Tracy will return from his short retirement, who knows. But Makhachev just went out there, kept getting his takedowns, and man, just held JDM down, dude. It was riveting to watch him do it. I'm so glad that so many people enjoy watching that. Really riveting stuff, dude. What can I say, dude? The UFC betting scandals has gotten out of control.
Robert Whittaker added another layer to the breakdown. He talked about how Islam's strategy involved targeting Jack's legs early. Those calf kicks weren't just random strikes. They were calculated attacks designed to slow Jack down and limit his power. Whittaker pointed out that Islam's wrestling was always going to be the deciding factor, but those leg attacks set everything up perfectly. It was a complete, methodical approach that showed just how well prepared Islam was.
What to say? So I've always thought one angle of Jack's to work on would be his leg defense. I thought he's got top tier boxing, but I thought in his opponent's shoes, I would attack his legs first, try and slow down his his him walking you down, try to take some of the power out of his hands by cutting off his legs, and open things up that way. Islam went straight for the calf kick within the first minute, straight for the calf kick, started doing some real damage to that leg early on. Obviously, and obviously the wrestling was always going to be a big factor in this fight. Yeah. Islam does what Islam does.
Whittaker went on to explain how those leg attacks completely dismantled Jack's game. His movement suffered, his defense weakened, and his ability to sprawl disappeared. People worried about Islam's cardio at welterweight, but Whittaker shut that down fast. Islam maintained control throughout the entire fight, while Jack visibly struggled under the relentless pressure. The takedowns never stopped coming, and Jack never found a way to deal with them.
I think the leg attacks just took Jack's foundation away, his grounding in that tight-knit boxing that he likes to use. It affected not only his movement when he was striking, but his defense, his backing up against cage, his sprawl ability, all of it. Not to say though, Islam's timing was just sensational. Sensational. And then you also saw, so I mentioned earlier when we first started that Islam's cardio was in question, just him moving up. How was he going to go throughout the thing? It seemed like, even though Islam was being very physical to get these takedowns, Jack was losing that battle of attrition, being on his back. He had grimaces the entire time. The pressure of Islam must be something crazy.
So here we are, standing at a crossroads in MMA history. Islam Makhachev just delivered one of the most dominant performances we've ever seen at UFC 322. He proved he belongs in the conversation with the greatest fighters of all time. From Michael Bisping to Demetrius Johnson, from Ariel Helwani to Javier Mendez, every expert agrees this was a masterclass. This was perfection. But now comes the biggest decision of Islam's career. Does he take the fight with Ilia Topuria and give us one final epic showdown? Or does he retire right now at the absolute peak with his legacy untouchable? Most fighters can't walk away when they're still on top. They stick around too long, and we watch their greatness fade. Islam has the chance to be different. He could retire undefeated in his prime and become a legend forever. So here's the real question. What would you do if you were Islam Makhachev? Would you risk it all for one more fight? Or would you walk away while you're still the best? Drop your answer in the comments below. We want to hear what you think. And if you want to stay updated on every fight, every breakdown, and every huge moment in MMA, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust us, you don't want to miss what happens next in this sport.